different, or like, trying loads of different vegetables I've never had. Like, I didn't even know what tofu was before I went vegan. Like, so that was interesting for me to try and stuff. And like, I think some people find it really difficult to ditch dairy or eggs and stuff like that, or cheese especially is one of the worst ones, because like it's super addictive, and people are very addicted to it because there's some, like, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but there's a hormone or something in milk that's produced when the cow has the baby, or the calf or whatever, the calf, when it starts to drink the mother's milk, there's a hormone in the milk that makes the calf go back to the mother to get milk again because it's addictive, so the mom and the baby won't be separated, like, and that's why humans get addicted to it, because they're eating this like addictive hormone, so they keep going back to it. So a lot of vegans find it hard to ditch that, like, when they're starting off, but it's about, like, I guess, like, weaning yourself off it.
That's honestly what the worst for me too. Like, if I was ever become, I think the worst thing I would do is fish and like just milk from like cereal and stuff, porridge or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, I really love, like, I was so, like, the way I was about like tea and stuff, like, I'm obsessed with tea, like, I'm a tea now. And like, I was so particular about the milk too. I would never drink semi-skimmed, I'd never drink skimmed milk. I hated it, like, and the thought of soya milk I hadn't even considered, like, ever, wouldn't have ever tried it, like, only full milk in my tea, like, I was very particular. So once I tried to go vegan, I was like, oh, what am I going to put in my tea now? And I remember I bought almond milk, I think, first, and I was like, oh god, this is like cardboard, how my tea just like destroys the taste of tea that I love so much. And then I remember I discovered Oatly. It's like a Swedish brand, and they have oat milk barista style, so it's like, it's a lot creamier and nicer. So I had that in my tea, and I was like blown away. I was like, this is like so nice, and I don't miss dairy at all, like.
Yeah, I've worked in a few cafes and stuff before. I noticed, like, when making coffees with like oat milk, like, actually, like, it actually smells quite nice, I don't know, I probably have tried it, like,
milk smells bad, like.
I do like my milk, like, I can't deny that, but like the oat milk does, like, have its, like, does have a decent taste, like, it doesn't taste like milk, but it still tastes nice.
Yeah, I think it's about, like, about getting used to it too, because for me it was definitely getting used to it. Like, you're trying something that you like, you want it to taste like milk, but it's not going to taste like milk. It's something completely different, like, it's not milk, like, but like, it's about you getting used to choosing the other options and stuff like that, and like, eventually it's like, I would prefer this now. Like, I smell dairy milk and I'm like, why did I ever drink that? Like, it's crazy how you become so, like, aware of, like, how you see food and stuff. Like, I don't even see meat as food anymore. Like, I don't look at it that way at all. And it's like, it's really interesting, and like, I was really, like, surprised off that, like, I wouldn't drink milk ever again. But yeah,
something just came to me there, right? So
yeah,
and this is just like something that came out of my head, but like, so I work in a kitchen, and there I've kind of like just like seeing chefs at work. I think of it as like, I think as cuisine as like an art form, whether it be vegan or with meat. I'm curious, like, how do you feel about all of now? Because it's kind of like one of the things, I'm imagining you probably look at it how some people look at boxing, like it's an art form, but it's a very like brutal one. Like, it's not like a delicate kind of thing. Well, it is, but it's like, it's not that for like the faint of heart. What do you feel about cooking now? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm just against. I don't see it as an art at all, because I am really interested in cooking and stuff, and I love cooking, but I don't think cooking animal flesh is art, like, because you're taking someone else's life just so you can have a sandwich. So I don't see that as in any way, like, I can't respect that, like.
And do you think boxing is an art form? Like, you do hurt people in boxing? Like,
yeah, well, those are very different, because boxing is two adults, like, consenting to being, it's a sport. Like, people who kill animals, the animal have a choice. Like, the animal can't say no; they're forced to be killed. Like, so that's what I see as differently.
Just like to put in there, do you think, is that because it's humans killing the animals? Or
what do you mean?
Like, do you say if like you're in the wild and a tiger eats a gazelle or whatever, or a lion eats a gazelle?
Yeah,
that's different. You see that as a different thing.
Well, I'm still against it because I just see it as morally wrong for like humans to do it.
Yeah.
But I prefer, like, say if I watch a nature documentary and there's a lion killing a gazelle or whatever it is, like, it still upsets me, like, because I don't like to see animals getting killed in any context.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't hold animals to that same. I mean, animals don't have a moral barometer, like they don't know right from wrong, but humans do. So just because a lion kills a gazelle in the wild doesn't give us the right to kill cows, like, just because animals do it. And also, like, 72% of the animal kingdom is herbivores, so like you can't argue that, because that's only one, like, small percent of the planet that eat other animals, you know, that are omnivores, or like most of the planet is herbivores.
So now this is just a weird hypothetical one for you, probably. Right? So interesting to like ask someone who's a vegan at this, right? But it's just like, what if a wolf, let's say, killed a sheep but left its body there? So you can't hold that sheep accountable. So let's say in the future, right, where most people are vegan, is that an acceptable one to like take and maybe like sell as if you found like an oil spill or something?
No, because it's gross. Like, it's not. The problem is that, like, animals aren't even seen as victims anymore. People think they own them. People think they can. People just want to take everything from them when, like, they have just as much as a right to live as we do. Like what right do we have to take their lives? Like,
that's what I'm saying. If it was the wolf that killed this sheep.
But why, when you see a dead animal, would you think that? Because to me, that's outrageous that you would think that you would have the right to take that animal's body away and start selling its body parts and stuff. Like, that's gross to me. Like the same way if, like, someone said that about a dog, I'd feel like, oh, why would you want to go mess with a dog's dead body? Like, in any way, like, even if everyone...
Just kind of in the future as well, like, because it probably would become illegal.
Yeah, well, most people
would be a black market for it.
Yeah, well, the same way you can't ever stop. I mean, I'm against murder of humans, but it still happens. Just because it's always going to happen doesn't mean we shouldn't change.
Yeah, I get you.
There's always going to be fucked up people that are, like, you know, harming people or using things below them or beings below them, like. But we can't ever completely get rid of it. But we can do our best to reduce that, like.
Well, guys, there's something I want to bring up. It's kind of been coming up this last week to do with veganism, and it's about the COVID-19 vaccine. And there's been a lot of things coming up.
I actually haven't heard about this.
Really? Well, it's basically going about how the COVID vaccine, how, you know, and obviously animal testing is used, as with all medical and pharmaceutical products. And there's a lot of vegans that bring up the question, like, do they take it or do they not?
Well, I think vivisection is a very, I don't think it's useful for humans, like, to test on animals for humans, for a human result, like, just never going to be fully correct, like, and they've failed time and time again in the past by doing vivisection. You can't ever test something on an animal and expect the same result off human. But
we have you can get things close. Like that, though, right? Like, we've done a lot of testing on, like, pigs and rats and things, right?
Yeah,
like,
we have.
It can give you like a rough estimate of the results.
Hang on, I can't hear both of you. What did you say there, Giovanni? I'll get back to you in a second.
It's the idea, like, it's like the closest you can do before human trials. Like, it'll give you the closest results, like whatever, for example, in pigs, will be really close to what happens in humans.
Yeah, that's because pig skin is so similar to human skin and things like that.
Well, not skin, but the pig's anatomy.
There's other ways that people can, or that scientists can test on, that they don't have to test on animals. It's been, like, it's not at all productive at all. Like, it's impossible.
I don't know. I've never heard of this. I never heard of this as a claim. Like, it's not.
It's impossible.
Like, I know there's people who gave against it, but I never, like, considered it really.
It's impossible to predict a human reaction to drugs or vaccines or any other chemicals by, like, testing them on animals, because
you can get, like,
you can get really close.
You can get ideas.
Sorry?
You can get, like, that's as close as we can get, though. like if you're gonna test something on, let's say a snake, whatever you test might be more likely on, like it might be prevalent in like most snakes, but not all snakes. But if something works for a specific breed,
That's
like,
for animals. Like I'll give you one example of something like
all
that
right,
really shows how this is such a flaw with the like medical system, and how vivisection is completely like it's so like messed up and like shouldn't be happening still in the
what do you
state.
mean by vivisection? What is that?
Vivisection is the term used for testing on animals for
All right.
So basically we've been trying to cure cancer. Like there's been a history of us trying to cure cancer, so we've done so much research on like cancer on animals, right? So we've had a whole history of curing cancer for mice, and we've literally found a cure for mice because we've tested so much on mice, but we literally still don't have any cure for humans. That's how, like, that's just put us back. Like, we've wasted so much time wasting time on mice.
I don't see the other like suggestion here. Like I imagine you start on mice and work your way up. You can't just start on
We've cured
humans, can you?
mice we've cured mice of cancer for decades, and it simply doesn't work on humans.
Well,
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Of course not. But here's my question. It's like, yes, that's
like
it's a cure for...
genomic responses in animals are not the equivalent, or like poorly mimic human diseases. Like,
I understand. I just don't see like the counter. Like, are you gonna like test it on humans first? Like, that's much more dangerous, isn't it?
yeah, well, humans volunteer to do it, and there's many other ways you can do it before you test on humans. Like,
what would you test on that isn't testing on humans if you don't practice testing on animals?
Well, there's a whole lot of different like kinds of tests that you can do before you test on humans, which they do anyway before they test on animals. They do like human-based clinical research. They do they study. They can do cellular like molecular biology using human tissues and stuff, or in vitro. They can do autopsies. They can do biopsies. They can do computers. We have so much technology. They can use computer models, virtual reality. We have like mathematical models and formulas to determine drug, like anything like reactions and stuff like that. We have case studies and all. Like there's so much like human-based DNA genetic research.
So this begs the question.
Trial and error, even. There's
this
many
begs the question. So if you are able to do it on humans, and you're saying it's like it's relatively safe, is what I'm gathering, right? Like, why do you think it is? Like, what's controlling the fact that this isn't the way it is then, if it's so easily accessible? Or do you think Big Pharma is trying to make money off of it?
The medical industry gets so much money to test on animals every year. Kill billions of animals, just like killing animals for no reason. And many many medical experts have come out about it, saying that vivisection is like so ridiculous, and we're wasting so much time. Like when we could be like curing all these big diseases like cancer and stuff, which we have already in mice for decades. We've had a cure for cancer for mice for decades. Like, you know.
Well, anyway, Natasha,
going
back to the original question, like, would you personally take the COVID vaccine even though it's been tested on animals?
I think, I don't know how I'd feel. Well, I would be unhappy to do it, to be honest, and I'm not sure like what the situation is with it, but like, because I haven't researched that, or I never heard about it.
Just when I was looking into it, like a lot of vegan doctors have come out saying to take it anyway.
Yeah, well, I would take it anyway because I take medication that's been tested on animals in the past. You know, like I go into the pharmacy now. Like, it doesn't mean just because I'm vegan, I'm not going to use any of the drugs that has been tested on animals. If I need medicine, I'm going to use medicine. But like, this is like a problem that's been occurring in like the medical industry for so long, and like they're trying to change that now. Or I don't know really what the situation on it is now, but I know like many like medical experts have come out saying that it's like a waste of time basically, and like there's no science to back up that it's even like it's useless like to humans to test on animals. Like, that's been proven time and time again.
Mikey just commented there asking the wolves to eat him, and then he deleted his comment. Kind of sus, Mikey.
I do have something interesting to say to Natasha. How can you be how can you be so trustworthy of a vaccine that hasn't been tested on humans then? I don't understand.
It has been
What do you
tested on
mean?
humans.
That is tested.
Hmm.
Well, they wouldn't let people take it unless people have volunteered. You see, people who take the vaccine,
I meant more
after
long-term effects. We don't know the long-term effects. It's kind of
no, we don't. But the same way, any other time in history where there has been a first group of people that have to take a vaccine, they have to take it, not knowing what the risks are. Do you know, the same way if you take any medication, when you go down to, if you have to go to the doctor and you take antibiotics, there's many side effects, but you know, you're not usually worried about that. Well, I don't know, that's not really an argument, but
I think that people who volunteer to do these tests, they get paid quite well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people
but
volunteer.
That's because of how dangerous it is, though.
Yeah, exactly. But people will volunteer regardless.
That's
and
the
people
thing,
do
though.
volunteer.
In medical testing, it's actually the chances of something bad happening to you are extremely low. In modern testing,
it depends. It depends what it is, though.
Well, yeah, if they're not going to release a drug that has more bad effects than, you know, they're not going to, if they test on people and then they have all bad reactions, they're not going to they're
That's
not going
not true.
to.
That's
but
not
I'm
true at all. It
speaking in the
depends what
term of
guys have been.
modern drug trials. The chances of something really bad happening to you are extremely low now because of all the pre-testing they do.
First.
So that's the thing, Tasha. If we got rid of factory farming, is that where you would march next, against testing on animals? Is that where veganism will go
I'm
next?
against
Do you think?
all of that. I would love to just be there all the time saying I mean, it's been proven that's useless to humans. People
I don't know. I never looked at it much. I don't know.
Yeah, it's well, there's actually an interesting website you should check out. It's called adapt.org. So it's ADAPTT. No, sorry. I just heard myself back there. I thought that was something.
I just thought this was something.
ADAPTT.org.
I just thought this was something interesting that's been kind of coming up the past week that we could talk about. I thought it was pretty good. Excuse me one second, but sorry. Another thing I'd like to bring up to do with veganism is kind of more of one of the negative sides of it.
Yeah.
It's to do with almond production. And I did just not a big one, but I did a little study on it. So 80% of the world's 80 to 82% of the almonds produced in the world are made in California. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and in California they produce 1 million tons per year. And there's two main issues with that. First of all, in California, as we've known, it's always been a bit of land that has a huge drought going on. I don't know how long, but for X amount of years. So basically, for farming these kind of crops, what they're doing is they're digging underground into aquifers, which are basically underground caverns of water, which have been filling up with water for the past thousands of years. And the issue with that is that it's draining faster than it can be filled. Which there can be there can be a lot of negative effects with that. For example, if you look at Jakarta, that's the city where basically Jakarta is slowly sinking because of the same issue happening. If you look into that yourself, I didn't really write much about this, but it's kind of basically with Jakarta, what's happening is there's basically for example, in Ireland, most of our water is taken to lakes which fill up at the same rate we take it out of. And is filtered, whatever. But what they do in Jakarta is they take the water from under the ground, and what happens is when you take away the water, there's less volume underground, so therefore the land sinks. And now, basically, they're estimating at 2100, basically Jakarta won't exist anymore, the entire city, and that could be an issue in California too if they keep doing that. And another issue that brings up is to do with bees. In the winter 2018-2019, 50 billion bees were reported killed by bee farmers. And basically they blame almond production and the pesticides they use in that.
That's
and
mad.
obviously,
well,
almonds are one of the main substitutes vegans use.
That's not actually true. It's not one of the biggest anyway. Like I'm not necessarily fussed on almonds myself. I mean we have almond milk, but like, I think that's a very small percentage of. I mean, how many people here have eaten almonds today? Like,
Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact of like how big of an issue it is right now.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's not a vegan issue because it's not only vegans that eat almonds.
Yep, of course.
And it's a very small percentage of people, like, you know.
I think what you're saying here is kind of like the soy thing. I was looking into some like about
exactly.
soy. It's like they'll plant more like factories, but it's still like everyone uses soy, and it's actually soy is used in so many different things as well.
That's good. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened with soy
the biggest
is they kind of produce that in South America, where basically they're cutting away massive, like, I don't know how many acres of land of trees to produce these like soy farms, and it's basically destroying the ecosystem there.
Yeah, and 80% of the world's soybean crop is fed to livestock, so this is a big issue with meat eaters and people who, you know, support that. Like, if everyone went vegan and we were eating animals every year, feeding like 5 points, what is it? Hold on 1 second. Like 80% of soya is fed to animals or livestock. So it's like, this is an issue because we're killing those animals every year, and there's new animals we fed, and it's just like so much of that is just being wasted because it's so bad for the environment, and only a small percent of that is fed to humans. Like, not, it's such a big scale for animals.
We got a comment there from Mikey. Barry Benson got to sue the human again for the second time. B-Movie 2, The Vegan Menace. It's quite funny. But yeah, the percent of land, agricultural land used to make livestock feed is 33%.
For what?
33% of agricultural land is used to make feed for livestock. I was doing that research earlier.
Yeah, and then a lot of land, exactly. A lot of land is wasted for the production of meat and dairy and eggs, and it's terrible for the environment. Like, I just really think it's important for people to just consider, like, you know, look at your food and know that, like, when you go to the shop, your money's your vote. So when you pay for products, you're supporting a certain industry. So if you're against animal cruelty, then you go to the shop and you can choose a vegan burger, or you can choose a piece of flesh that's been taken off an animal that's been murdered and dismembered and like screamed for its life. Like, and like, I just don't see how you can ever choose like a dead animal. Like,
I suppose on that line, I have a few more statistics here when I was looking into livestock. So once again, 33% of agricultural land is used to make livestock feed. And then basically it's 6 and 20 kilograms of grain is used to produce 1 kilogram of beef. And basically another thing here, if everyone basically ate like the amount of calories they needed a day, the world farmers could produce enough crops to feed 9.7 billion people, which would add up to currently a big topic the past couple decades is in the year 2050, how the world population is expected to exceed 10 billion. So that is kind of a current issue that we can prepare for, and this could be one of the ways. And then
like, we have people like starving in countries, and like world hunger is happening, and we're feeding like 40% of world grain is being fed to livestock when every single year, and there's like, you know, humans in other countries that are suffering from not getting food. Like, and
I
like
I actually have a calorie breakdown. That's very interesting.
Countries that are growing food with like people that are starving in those countries that are selling the like crops or grains, whatever, to like basically us, like, and they're starving. Like,
I actually have a calorie breakdown I want to read out to you first.
Here, hang on. hang on though, before we move on for that, Jojo, there's something I want to point out about that. I don't know if that's entirely true because, yes, you might be able to have the people be able to survive off grain, and Frank was kind of, I think, agreeing with me earlier here before the podcast when we were talking about you need a balanced diet. Nobody can just live off grains alone, and you have to keep on.
Yeah, but there's land that's growing soy that you can change to grow crops.
But not all soil is equal. You can't grow anything on all soils. You can't grow soy everywhere.
Like,
the reason that you still have hunger is a problem with capitalism. It isn't necessarily a problem with animals, farming or whatever, or veganism. I mean, it's greed. There's more than enough food on the planet to feed everybody. It's just people who can't pay for food can't eat.
Yeah,
that's the problem there.
Just before we carry on, I have a calorie breakdown. So basically, all the food that's produced.
Before we move on, though,
we're not moving on.
Sorry,
we're not moving on.
Oh, hang on. There's a really
Liam,
good point here.
I'm saying this, Liam. I'm saying this. I will mute you. Right. So basically, per person, 5,935 calories. If you got all the food that's made in a year and divided amongst the people, and then basically 1,738 calories per person goes towards animal feed, which is almost an entire other person's daily food. And then 1,000 of those calories go towards pharmaceutical. And you can carry on now, Liam.
What do you mean
so
by
it was
pharmaceutical?
I don't know.
That was just the statistics. You can't. I was just saying you can't blame all starvation, Frank, on capitalism alone. It's almost infamous and synonymous with socialism and communism.
Well, a big part
starvation comes along too.
Well, I'm just saying, we're feeding animals. We can feed 56 billion animals every year to kill them, but we can't afford to feed our own.
You can't give people only grains either, though.
No, they don't eat grains.
You don't need to give everyone grains, Liam. You got other things.
Liam,
you just have to calm down.
That's trying to be put forward here. The argument trying to be put forward here is that you lower the amount of land being used for raising cattle, raising sheep, animals, and that land that's now been freed up, you use to plant.
But not all soil is equal.
Yeah, but yes, okay, but that is completely irrelevant because there's so much land used by the agriculture industry and farming of animals that there's more than enough room or soil there to make whatever plants you want to feed everybody. There's enough food in the world to feed everybody already. The problem isn't a problem with amount, it's a problem with distribution.
And another point is one of the world's largest Feed the Hungry organization is called Food for Life Global, and they feed millions of hungry people free vegan meals on a daily basis. So it says a lot that they're feeding people vegan meals, and they're trying to feed, their Food for Life Global. They're trying to. That's obviously an issue to them too. That it's vegan meals that they're serving to people. It would definitely. It would alleviate much of world hunger. By putting an end to these unjust transactions.
You see, it was just because Earthling Ed, he was suggesting that you let the land that is unusable for crop soil, which, by the way, is a problem. You can't grow all crops anywhere. A lot of tropical fruits that people eat today, especially vegans, like avocados, bananas, all these things are growing in tropical countries.
Yeah.
So you'd either have to cut down...
Eating animal, eating animal-based foods is the worst form of human and animal abuse.
Human abuse?
I have to say,
because of the people who are hungry that we're feeding animals to kill them every year. It's very immoral and doesn't really make much sense.
But I'm just pointing out because it's Earthling Ed as well who suggested because there is so much land that is unusable. And you can't just grow any fruit on any land.
But we're using land to feed animals, Liam.
Huh?
But we're using land to feed animals.
That's not my point. But you can't grow. You can't always, just because animals eat there doesn't mean you can grow plants on the same land. It's not true.
Animals don't eat there, Liam. They grow crops, and then the crops are shipped off, and like they're processed for animals, but they are crops.
No, but you're suggesting removing animals from fields and growing plants instead.
No, but Liam,
that's not the suggestion at all.
Majority of animals that are being like killed every year are not outside in the grass. Majority of them aren't. We literally don't even have enough land to support that. Like for grass,
there is grass-fed options too.
It's completely unsustainable because we couldn't even sustain the amount of animals that we have right now to land, because they would cover like the entire earth. Like there's no way we could do that. Like that's why animals are in such small, awful conditions right now. Like because they don't care about their welfare at all. Grass-fed beef, even if you pay for that, it's unsustainable.
Yeah, well, Leah, animals aren't grass-fed.
That's not even like, it's not even helpful at all, because we can't do that. We can't have grass-fed beef everywhere. Like even if you wanted that, it's impossible. Like they wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah,
on the scale that they kill.
The reason I was pointing this up is because Earthling Ed said in one of his videos, his suggestion for all this unusable land, and there was studies showing that like if you leave it completely alone for years, it kind of like it starts to forest and stuff again. So I'm just curious, like he wants like this land to be forest so more animals come back. But
what do you mean?
Like basically,
nature always takes over. Like
Liam,
again,
she's not arguing to say that we don't want animals. She's not saying like get rid of all these animals that are in
Liam,
these terrible conditions.
The way
I don't think they should be brought into those situations anyway, because they're bred into existence. They don't just like naturally land here. Like that's like, if you look at the numbers of how many animals are actually on Earth right now, it's insane, the numbers. Like
but what Earthling Ed was suggesting. Hang on, what Earthling Ed was suggesting here, and like none of you are getting this, but he said he basically wanted all this unusable land to just be left alone, and he wants animals like all around the world to be released from this.
Yeah, well, like that's an idea, but like I don't know. I actually haven't done any research on that, so I don't know if that's actually like
he thinks this is a feasible goal in the long term. I just don't know.
Because he says that doesn't mean I say that. Like I don't know what his point is, because I didn't listen to the speech the video that you saw, but I'm sure he has a reason for that. Like, and I suppose if you messaged him or commented on the video, if you had a question, he'd probably reply. Like, because I'm not quite sure like about that, but all I know is that like I'm doing small steps, and it's hard to talk about when the world's vegan whenever I'm the only vegan in this conversation right now, and like you know it seems like it's going to take a while. Like.
Well,
so I don't think.
Yeah, I just want to say something, Liam. But animals aren't like fed in a field. Like it's not like they live in a field and eat the grass. They grow crops like elsewhere than like
most
soy.
Cows eat grains, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, most cows eat grains. I understand, but they're still grass-fed animals too. That was all I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not most. Not even most.
And there's a premium on that kind of meat to grass-fed meat. And
because it's a
not as
small
big as the
portion
other
of
things.
animals. It's because there's a small portion of animals that are like 3% of animals in like that, or like that are going to be killed for food is 3%. 3% of those animals are being grass-fed, which is like, that's small, like compared to.
Well, I'm just saying that's why there's a premium
compared to the 97% of beef, like, or any other. Well, not even beef, like flesh, basically, but like, are being grain-fed, like, because it's cheaper and stuff, I suppose.
I understand.
Yeah, but it's unsustainable. Like, grass-fed beef isn't sustainable anyway, so even if you choose that, there's no difference. The only difference is the quality of the meat, like how, I don't really know exactly, like, because I think it's like ridiculous people even eat it.
It's honestly something I found really annoying, like as a no good dirty capitalist. There's a thing, and it's the fact that the government basically pays the meat industry to keep going on even though it's failing.
Yeah, because
and they don't do that to vegans either, which I did find interesting because I'm against that.
how many people are in the world are vegan? Like, not many people want to go vegan because they don't see animals as the victims. Nobody ever puts themselves in the animal shoes. Like when you look at any other injustice that's going on in the world, people usually put themselves in the victim's shoes. Like, but for some reason, people can't do that with animals. Like, because someone's taught you to not care about them. Like, when most people, when they're born, all you do, like when you're a child and you're playing outside, you would do anything for like any animal. Like, it doesn't matter. But someone taught you that like you're not like being mean to these animals. Like, those are food. Like, you don't care about them. When you're a child, for some reason, you would do anything for animals. You'd scream for them if someone was hurting them. Like, it's like hatred is taught. Discrimination is taught. Like,
Why is that?
it is true. Yeah, exactly. It comes from it's taught. It comes from your parents or whoever it is who taught you. Like, someone taught you. Someone taught.
What if someone's getting like, and we're way off topic here, but I'm just like kind of running with it. What Gio's saying here, like, what if someone's being bullied? They're not like taught hatred.
Yes, you are taught hatred. You are taught because you're taught to discriminate. You're being taught that.
I'm saying if someone's bullying.
Someone taught.
I'm saying if someone's bullying you. If someone's bullying you, if you hate that bully, you weren't taught to hate that bully. So
you're not taught to hate that bully, but you're taught to hate, and you're taught to discriminate. The bully, or I don't really know exactly, but I just know that it would be more the bully side, where the person who is discriminating or like causing harm on someone else usually have been taught like discrimination is evil. Like, and it's no child ever, like, if you go into a playground, no child ever cares what color their friend's skin is. Like, they're taught. No child like is ever born like hating. Like, the same way when you were a kid, I'm sure all of you will have like memories of like caring about animals. So how come where did all I'm curious about is like, when did the point happen where you just stopped caring about them and people mock them, people like don't think they can think, people don't think they can feel pain, people don't think they can suffer. Like, you literally eat them in a sandwich. But like when you were a kid, if you knew that, I'm sure you wouldn't be very hungry. Like,
well, someone's obviously, like, it's obviously started somewhere. Someone's obviously, like, for example, racism. There's obviously someone who originally hated black people. Like, so you can't really just say like 100%. It's taught. Like, obviously, yes, you can be massively influenced.
Always taught. It is always taught though.
Well,
because
not
like
always.
You can argue it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg. But at the end of the day, it is always taught. It always came from somewhere. No one is just born hating people for no reason. No one's just born discriminating. Like,
I'm just curious, how do you know this is a fact? Like, how do you know people aren't born with a hatred for other people?
Well, obviously,
I haven't ever
someone
met a child
was.
who like. Well, maybe they were, but they were taught by someone else. Like, it's like.
Giovanni, your argument is kind of flawed because, like, everyone like doesn't like people who are different naturally. Like, evolutionary wise, you don't like people who aren't part of your tribe. I don't agree with being racist. It's bad, and we shouldn't do it in this day and age. But that's why it existed in the past. People are scared of things they don't understand. That's why it originated. It isn't really an argument to say that a child that is born, there was just one child who was born and was like, I hate.
Yeah,
well, that wasn't my argument though.
Well, anyway, that's the point that I'm making, that like hatred is a learned behavior, just like racism, sexism, antisemitism.
But wouldn't you say the opposite of love too? Would you say love is a learned behavior?
No, because I think every child like loves animals, and like you love everything around you. Like, you giggle with animals, you play with them, and like you would scream if they were being hurt by someone. You try and stop people from hurting animals. So you have blindfolds on for some reason. So I'm just trying to like show you that like you were taught somewhere along the line to not care, like to make fun of those animals or to mock and excuse their suffering. Like, and you know, they're innocent. They're innocent beings. They haven't done anything wrong to you. Like, so I don't understand. You have been taught because they haven't done anything to you. So why do you want to hurt them, or why do you not care that they're being killed?
Well, because humans
value their flavor.
Well, you cared about them when you were young. Like, so what happened?
I mean, like, hold on here, but yes, I think 100%. Like, I'm sure there's definitely ways that, like, in the future, like, I reckon at some stage in the future, actually, that, like, meat could be, like, abolished, you could say. But it is like in like humans' nature, like humans are designed to eat both meat and vegetables. I forget the word for it, but they're both omnivores and herbivores. Oh, omnivore, yeah, that's the word. Yeah,
Carnivores.
sorry, yeah,
Carnivores and herbivores.
yeah. Humans are omnivores, like obviously.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the future is vegan, to be honest, because like I
Yep,
think
so
more and
do
more
I.
people are becoming aware of it.
But you can.
And
But
like
I think the
sorry,
best
sorry.
example of this is like your teeth. Your teeth are like
There's
different sets of teeth
actually
are designed for, like, you have your canines. They're obviously designed for eating meat, but then you have your like.
well, you're actually completely biologically herbivorous, so that's not an argument.
That is not a fact.
That is true. It's been
No,
proven many
humans
times.
are
No,
omnivores.
it is actually quite interesting because here's the
You
thing.
like if you know, okay, I'll give you a few things like hold on, actually, well, one of the points anyway is that, like, see, when you eat meat, we have long intestines for vegetables, so we digest them slowly and break them down, whereas any carnivore or omnivore has short intestines, so by the time they eat meat, it starts to rot in our stomachs, but their intestines are short, so they don't need to digest as long, but because we're made to eat plants, it actually begins to rot in our stomachs and causes many diseases and stuff.
Our teeth, as Giovanni was saying, shows that we are omnivorous.
Well, hippos are herbivores, and they have the biggest canines on the planet, so that's not an argument either.
It's not to do with size, to do with like the shape of them. Like if you're
but
like
they're
sharp, they're designed.
They're sharp as well.
Herbivores.
I don't think human teeth would be able to.
For eating. They're used.
Also,
they're used for defense.
Sorry, just to interrupt as well. Just carnivores and omnivores also have they just bite and chew, but like herbivores grind their jaw.
Yeah, we grind our teeth together.
You can like grind your teeth across ways, whereas carnivores can't do that. They just bite and swallow.
Yeah, but we're not.
We don't do that.
Carnivores.
We're omnivores.
We're omnivores.
Omnivores eat both.
Omnivores eat both meat and plants.
Yeah, but our omnivores don't have long intestines, and they don't get cancer from eating meat, dairy, or eggs.
Well, Natasha, I'm sorry to say this, but like just straight up, like humans are clearly omnivores because we eat meat in the first place.
Well, I'll just tell you one thing as well about like the health thing is that like, so animal products have animal protein in them, and you can only get in animal products. It's called animal protein, and basically.
B12.
A vegan diet, no, it's not B12. A vegan diet has 0 cholesterol, and because cholesterol comes from animal protein, and the number one killer of humans is heart disease, and it's caused by cholesterol. And there's 14 out of the top 15 killers of humans, and that's all diseases, like a lot of diseases, like so 15 of those. 14 out of 15. Of those diseases that are like the top killers of humans is caused by animal protein, and the only other one is accidents. So I'm pretty sure humans aren't meant to eat animal protein if it's killing us, like we're dropping like flies when we eat it. Like,
but there is another thing, because I can't remember what it's called now. I really hope someone can figure this out for me, maybe a genius in the comments. But there's an organ that humans are like they used to have, and I think it's now like 1 in every 4 humans have it. Yeah, and it's basically an organ designed for plant breaking down. And a lot of people don't even, we're not even born with them now, and that's normal that we're not born with them.
No, that's actually, I know what that is.
Oh, why can I not
yeah, we did.
Appendix.
We did have that, and it was because
the appendix was for meat.
It was actually for breaking down. It was actually for breaking down grass, but we don't eat grass now. Like, grass is really tough on your stomach, so when you eat...
What do you mean? I love eating grass every day.
Well, if I ate grass, my stomach would probably be upset, because, like, it's too heavy on your stomach, like.
Humans can't break down...
Humans don't eat grass anymore. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Did you?
Well, guys,
actually,
let's bring something, right? Okay.
I just have a quick one, right? So now, I'm pretty sure we all agree that a human is an animal, right? Some people will be like, they might define it as something more complex and unique.
No,
But
like a human is an
typically,
animal. Like it's not a plant.
yeah,
That's not
most people are fine with a human being an animal, right? But my question is, if we're an animal, Natasha, you probably obviously disagree with this.
Yeah.
Guys, you probably most likely disagree with this, but like, here's basically what I thought, right? If you have a pet that you've known for like 20 years, I don't know what it is, a fucking tortoise or something. Now, let's say someone is threatening to kill your tortoise. Do you kill that person? Let's say a stranger. Do you kill the stranger who you don't know as a human to save this animal that you do know? Because that's what we do normally as humans, right? Like, you would save your family members or a friend before you would save a random stranger on the street if they're both hanging off a bridge. And the reason why is because you have an emotional connection to them. So, I don't know. I was just wondering what you thought about that, Tasha.
How is this an argument to why
this
humans
is so...
aren't animals?
No, it's just a hypothetical. I'm just wondering what she was thinking, like, cause like.
Well, I wouldn't kill it either. Like, it's the same way the people ask me often, like, if you were on a desert island and there was a cow there, would you eat the cow? Like, if the cow's there, I'm pretty sure there's probably like some veg there if it's living, so I'd eat the veg. Like, you know, you can hypotheticals.
Cows eat grass, and you just spoke about how humans can't break down grass.
But I guess you're probably asking more like, do I value
animal life the same as human life? Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I value all life equally, to be honest. So I don't think even in that scenario I would find it difficult to either kill either of those because I don't want to kill, regardless of whether it's a human or an animal. If I was walking down the road and there was a whole lot of ants on the ground, I wouldn't I'd feel bad if I stepped on them. Like, do you know, like, because I value all life and like I don't want to cause harm. Like,
this will be a bit disingenuous for me not to mention, but I spoke to you before on the podcast as well. But like, no, you're obviously aware of this, but it just would be disingenuous if I didn't mention it. So, if you're to fill an acre with cows and you're to fill an acre of soy, the amount that you're collecting and insects, caterpillars affecting birds or even bunny rabbits, there will be more per acre in the plants than in the field of cows. There'll be more death in the plants, but as you said,
a field is different because it's not mass. You're talking about if I look at it on the scale of like a year, okay, there's 56 billion land animals killed every year. There's 27 trillion fish killed every year. That's a big difference.
I understand.
Field
but I'm
isn't
just saying.
a fair comparison because it's not fair because
I'm gonna help you out here. Like,
whereas crop deaths every year is a lot less than the amount of animals killed every year. Or like the amount of animals
not in the acres. But you're saying that this food, that there may be more insects which are killed anyways. This food that is coming from this farm, most of it, like 90 or 70% from this 1 acre, will probably be going to feed cows anyways. So
what's your point? Like, what am I supposed to eat?
Huh?
What am I supposed to eat?
I'm just saying. I just wanted to point out because I think it's disingenuous if I didn't, because like. No, most people are aware of this, but vegans can't go without killing any animals, like zero. There's always still animals.
I don't see that as an argument because, like I said earlier, if I go outside and I accidentally step on an ant, it's an accident. I'm not like inflicting pain on purpose. Like, you know, you hurt people and things all the time. That's the definition of veganism, is causing as little harm as possible. It's not necessary for us to eat animals, so my point is, don't do it.
Well,
but if you were truly a vegan and you wanted to cause little harm
as possible, you can't. There's no way I can walk down the road and not kill an ant, like, or step on a bug, or like kill a fly by accident. Like, I won't go out of my way to kill.
Guys, we're going like way just like on a tangent here. Tulsi asked a question in the comments. A better question: what are vegans' thoughts on owning a pet? I think this is personally a very good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, for me, I think owning a pet is good as long as it doesn't come from a breeder, because usually that's very bad circumstances where a lot of animals are like gassed to death or like really awful conditions and stuff like that, and like they usually keep a female dog and keep making her have babies until she can't even like function anymore, just because they can sell her like puppies for money. But if you adopt a dog, I don't see how it's a problem if you go to a shelter and you're like bringing an animal into your home to look after it, and it's not.
What in the
What do you think
case of
about
like
animal shelters as well?
Sorry?
What do you go on, Gio? Sorry. Go on.
Well, what in the case of like someone who, let's say, owns a tarantula that's going to live in a little box its whole life, like maybe
well,
like 10 times the
well,
size
I
of
don't
its
think
body?
you should. I think you should rescue animals. I don't think you should be like buying animals that are being bred into being bred basically, because it's usually coming from a bad place. Like,
What if the tarantula's not bred? What if it's like
well, I'm not
from
sure
a
about
shelter?
tarantulas, but I was just thinking more cats and dogs. Like, but I'm not quite sure about where tarantulas, like, if there's.
Okay, a better
I'm not
example:
sure.
birds.
Yeah.
Quite a common pet compared to tarantulas, but isn't that like a bird kind of like very like demoral animal to have?
Well, if you're, I don't know. I think if you're adopting like a pet, I don't see it as an issue. But if you're bringing it into a better home and stuff like that. But if you're buying animals, they're usually coming from like, I don't know, like bad. They're coming from breeders and stuff who are making money off those animals. So you're supporting that then, like.
But like birds are designed to fly. They
I
can't
don't
really
know
fly in
exactly
a
about
house.
birds. I know that they. I don't know about birds, to be honest.
Tasha, I have one as well. We're hitting you with such like weird
But I don't
questions
necessarily
as
have
well. Sorry, go on.
to meet, like, as long as it's not coming from breeders and stuff, like, that's when there's a problem, because there's animal abuse and like animals are being like forced into like being pregnant and like not looked after, and it's just awful
I think he's
conditions.
more asking about like if you're able to like, let's say a bird that lives outside and let's say you rescued that bird and you fixed its wing or something, are you allowed to like keep it in your cage as a pet? Is it like morally okay?
Well, no, I
cage
would
bird?
think that's, well, I would just think that's not really fair on the bird. Like, I suppose it's up to yourself, to be honest, but it depends on the person. But like, I think if you're buying like animals that are coming from breeders and stuff, that's the main issue. I'm not quite sure about like birds and stuff, but I think if you rescue a bird and like take it and like force it to be a pet, I don't think that's very, like, I don't know, I feel like that's not really fair on the bird. Like, but if you're vegan, you can't have pets as long as they're not coming from cruelty, like.
And I have another one. It's like at a shelter, right, where animals are like killed on the regular if they're not like picked. Like, what do you think about that? Like, are you against animal shelters, like putting dogs and cats to sleep?
Well, the reason that the animals are in shelters is because people are breeding so many dogs every year, and that's the issue. If you adopt a dog or you go to rescue a dog, like a rescue center or something like that, like, and you save a dog, like, that's.
You know about like dog breeders, like people who just breed dogs to sell them and make money, right?
Yeah, so like pedigree dogs and stuff like that, people usually breed them because they can make like 500 euro off like a puppy that's full bred.
Purebred. Yeah, pedigree.
Yeah, and that's like, it's really messed up. Like, if you research it, it's really messed up.
But do you not like think the idea of like having a like I mean like personally, like, yeah, like I still like my pets, but still though, it's not really fair on an animal to be forced to live in a house, like.
Well, yeah, but animals like dogs and like dogs are domestic.
I think
animals too.
dogs. I think dogs are like evolved for this, but like cats aren't.
Humans made dogs. Like, dogs aren't not like wild animals. Dogs don't fit.
Yeah.
Into like, they're made to be pets.
Dogs have been basically evolved that way.
They're not wild, anymore.
But cats are semi-domesticated animals.
Yeah.
Like, I think it depends on how the cat's actually raised. Like, I know plenty of people who have cats and like they don't go outside and they're so happy in the house, they're so energetic all the time. But then you have cats.
If you're being good to an animal, that's the whole point. That's the basis of it. Like, as long as there's no cruelty involved, like whether you have an inside cat or an outside cat or a dog that's inside, like as long as you're treating them well, they have water, food, go for walks, happy animals, like that's all that matters. Like, as long as there's no.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's something like, I don't know where it comes from now, but there was a quote I heard. It's like, if you want to make someone hate a villain in a movie, you make them kick a dog. Or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the easiest ways, like psychologically, to make someone hate a villain.
Yeah. A lot of people have an issue with animal abuse, and I wouldn't be surprised that if like most people who eat animals went into a slaughterhouse would come out vegan because it's so disgusting. There's a reason that animals, it's illegal to film inside a slaughterhouse. There's a reason when you see roadkill, it doesn't make you hungry. Like, you're not meant to eat meat. Like, you have never killed an animal with
That's
your
a
teeth.
good point.
Can I say something there just to do with the comments? So Tulsi has said, I know vegetarian dogs, and Matthew's kind of going down the same way that I probably would here. Do you think if you own a pet that is a carnivore or whatever, you should feed it vegan or vegetarian as its owner?
Dogs can actually be dogs are omnivores. They're not carnivores. But I think cats are carnivores. I'm not quite sure about that. But
So what would be
I think you have to feed. I mean, if you have a dog, I don't have an issue with it being vegan, like, because it's not gonna be unhealthy if it eats vegan food because it's omnivorous.
Yeah. Okay, but a cat then?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to feed a cat food, I suppose, like.
Yeah, and cat food is made out of mass-produced animals that are slaughtered for food.
Actually,
I
food
personally wouldn't have a cat.
Cat and dog food.
Have a cat for that reason.
Cat and dog food is made from basically waste food at shops that wasn't sold. That's what it was because.
Yeah, it's waste product. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's still it's the way.
Well,
it's still waste product because it was produced, whatever.
Well, I personally wouldn't have a cat because I would just have an issue with like having to like deal with like cat food anyway, like meat and stuff like that. I just don't like it. It smells awful and stuff, and I wouldn't want to do that.
If someone invited you to a dinner, like if they had a meal in front of them that was like meat, let's say you're meeting a boss or something, like how would that go down? Would you be okay with it? Like, are you at the point where you're like fine with sitting beside someone?
No, well, I'd be disgusted because it's like, to me, it just like
of course you'd be
like
like
a dead animal that got
gross.
killed.
But would you like? You can think that, but I'm saying like, would you mention it to them like during the thing? Would you be like, I can't sit here when you're eating that? Like, how
Well, I wouldn't sit at a table with someone who's eating meat anyway. But if I was in a situation where someone was eating meat, I wouldn't start giving out to them. But like, if someone came into my house,
that's what I mean. If it was like your boss, let's say your boss brought you out for like a meeting and he was getting
I wouldn't like. I'm not going around like, telling everyone off. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be forcing people to listen to me. Like that's just annoying. Like, the thing about it is like, I know I feel like we haven't even really talked about like the animal cruelty or anything, but like the thing about
let me just go on. Sorry.
Sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. If I don't.
It was something there from. I'm sorry, like throw off your train of thought. There was something I thought from like Earthing Ed, and he was saying like, and it's interesting. He says it's illegal. It's literally illegal to record instead of slaughtering them.
Yeah,
that's insane. But it's what he said is like he doesn't understand, and no, me myself, I didn't really understand it as well. Why? But he said I don't understand why you can't sit down and show someone how their meal is made because they're like, oh, don't show me that. But he's literally just curious because he's like, I don't understand why people can't sit down and see how their meal is produced. Like even as like when I worked in the kitchen, when I'd see a chef cooking something like a burger or whatever, even like just watching him do it looked amazing. So that's what I mean. If you're like looking at
that's very different though. Yeah, the reason is because no one thinks a slaughterhouse is an amazing thing. You wouldn't see it as food anymore, and that's the issue they have with it. And this is a very big industry. They have so much power, so much money. They've already convinced majority of the world. Veganism's always vegetarianism as well has always been. Albert Einstein was vegetarian, and it was always going to be something of the future. Leonardo da Vinci was, and like, a lot of people are against animal cruelty. So once people know about what goes on behind closed doors, most sane people will realize this is messed up. This is a dead animal that is being murdered against his will, and it's cruel. And like, I don't want to support this. I can't eat that. Like, it's not food. So there's a reason why this industry is hiding this. Like, and they're able to. It's literally illegal. If I went into a slaughterhouse, it's illegal for me to show anyone what I see.
The reason they protect that is because if they did, That's really interesting. That's what I've
And
been
there's also
looking
what they
for.
do. It's actually really interesting because they also build slaughterhouses in very poor areas where like people don't have any other option but to work in those like situations, which are awful, and people shouldn't even be working in there. Like it like has such a psychological impact on those people, as I'm sure you would probably. It's pretty obvious it would like. And very high suicide rate job, like, and also even if you don't care about animals, you're putting people into those jobs and those situations as well, like, so if you care about like human welfare, like, too, it's just as important as like the animals that are going through that, like.
Well,
the humans also have to go through it too by killing them, like no one wants to kill an animal, like.
Well, guys, why don't we bring up a new topic here? This kind of do with the future, and I'd be very curious to find out what your opinions would be on this, Natasha, but this is to do with lab-grown meat. As we all know, the past few years has been coming up a lot. So basically, the way they make lab-grown meat is they take a sample of cells from a cow, like maybe like not even the size of like a child's pinky finger, like, and basically they reproduce them in a lab artificially. And basically, the first burger was made through this process was eaten in 2017 in London, and basically that was 7-8 years ago now, and between now and then the price of
2017 was 4 years ago.
Sorry, 2013. Oh my god, I can't speak right now. But the prices have dropped 6,000 times since the first burger reveal in 2013, when it's now at €42 per serving. And at that rate that is dropping, it could be in the very near future that like this could be a real thing at the rate it's dropping. And also having this method of creating meat would dramatically reduce methane and CO2 emissions. Basically, these companies that now start making these lab-grown meats, they've basically, by the year 2025, they want to be carbon neutral, and by 2030, they want zero carbon.
My issue with this is that my problem with the whole issue is that I'm against animal cruelty. So once people can't even like see animals as victims, to the point where like we're still wanting to use them, and like that's the problem for me. Like they're not a product, they're not something to be used. Whether you're taking a sample or whatever it is, they're not made for us. So like, I just think that's like.
What do you like? I don't understand. What do you suggest? Like, you just think?
Well,
like,
I suggest people just don't eat animals
I
at
know,
all,
but here's the
because
thing.
they're
Like,
not for us.
when I think of the
They're
future,
also they're harmful. Like, and also I was gonna just say this too, that that's just one of the issues of veganism. So like I'm like against animal cruelty, but I'm also vegan for my health and for the environment. So it's like you still are going to be eating meat, which is not healthy for you. It's still going to cause cancer, diseases, and many other problems for you and your life if you continue to eat it. So like I just don't see it as a productive thing, really. Like it's definitely better for the environment, but I would rather see a future where we don't eat animals at all.
Well, that could be a choice up from person to person, like you know, like
well,
these
we're still
like
see
zero
the problem
animals
is the
would die with this, like.
But the problem is that we're using animals. We think that we have a right to use them for us. Like it's not good for us to eat that. So I don't see why people
what if you
want to eat it
used
anyway.
a cow that just died, took some of its cells,
Well,
and
they
started
don't
growing them?
ever use cows that just die. Like cows are supposed to live for like I'm not exactly sure, but it's like they kill them after 5 years, and I'm pretty sure they live for like 25 years or longer.
Okay, right. Well, if you get a 25-year-old cow, then do it.
Sorry?
But if you get, like, let's say the cow literally, it just died, then you can do it, take the cells. However,
that's kind of like what I said earlier about the sheep.
If you
like,
take
even if another animal killed the sheep,
if you take old cells from an animal, you're not going to have very good flesh for you to eat, are you? Like, I don't think they're thinking about that. Like, and I'm pretty sure most people wouldn't want to eat an animal that's really old. Because people are, I don't know.
Yeah, like venison is literally a meat from a baby deer. It's very...
Well,
we
venison's just deer meat. You're thinking of foie gras.
Oh, my bad.
The issue that I have is that we can't even see them as victims. Like we see them as commodities. Like we we wear them as clothes, we eat them, you aren't even thinking about them at all. You're thinking about how can I take something from them without like harming the environment. It's still selfish because everyone's just thinking about themselves. No one thinks about the victim. Like an animal goes into a slaughterhouse and it gets a blade dragged across its throat and it fights and it does scream for its life, but no one's listening to it. Like, and all I'm trying to do is like speak for the animals because no one else is going to, like, and the animals can't speak for themselves, like. So
Yeah,
I'm
but
just trying to just show people
with
that,
this
like,
method, like no cow would have to die for it.
but
But she's saying
my
it's like
point
it's
is
impractical because nobody's going to sell you old meat. That's not how it like works.
no, that's not my point. My point
User
is that you don't
user
see them as
missing-
victims. You don't even see them as like. See, you're thinking like the reason they're doing this is for the environment. They're not doing it because they care about animals. You don't care about
No.
animals. You care about eating meat. They're flesh. That's the problem. You don't see them as victims.
I think there's an ethical thing here, though, where we disagree, though, and that's if a lion eats a gazelle, is the lion cruel and evil?
Well, to me, that's a cruel act, yes. But the lion
but
doesn't know it's done something wrong
But
because it's an instinct. But just
that
because a
lion
lion
needs
kills,
to eat that meat to survive.
yeah,
which
but you
is-
don't need to. But you don't need to eat meat to survive.
No,
It
but
actually kills you, basically. Like, it gives you cancer and
ethics-
diseases.
the ethics of it is the problem with the way animals are mass produced to be eaten, right, in the world at the minute, is why I agree ethically with people wanting to become vegetarian or whatever. I don't do it. 'cause I'm a
Vegan,
hypocrite, but-
vegetarian is
or
just as
vegan.
harmful. Yeah.
Okay, but vegan or vegetarian.
Yeah.
But the ethics of somebody killing an animal, and now not subjecting it to cruelty. Subjecting it to cruelty is a different thing. But someone killing an animal to eat it is not evil.
I see it as evil because you're taking someone's life without, like,
But it's
I think
not.
that's
See,
evil.
you saying you're taking someone's life, and you say an animal's life is on the same level as a human's.
Yeah, but you don't have to agree with that. You just have to agree with that animals feel pain and they don't want to die.
Yeah,
So you shouldn't
animals
kill them.
feel pain, and
You don't
and
have
they
to
don't want to
say
die.
they're on the same level. Like, I just feel that way, but like, you don't have to be vegan.
Yeah.
You just have to agree that they feel pain and they don't want to die. That's it. Like, that's all you have to do to be vegan.
See if you have someone who doesn't partake in the eating meat that is mass produced or anything like that. So they don't go to
Eating
the
meat in
shop to buy
general,
their
though, is
meat.
coming from like
No,
a
but-
dead animal.
Yeah, but I'm giving this example, and that's say
Sorry,
you
Andrew.
I live up on a hill, and I've got fields, and I have my own cattle or whatever, or
Yeah.
my own pigs, and I don't buy anything from the shop that's come from animals that were treated cruelly, and they've been kept in pens or whatever, and fed grain like you were talking about earlier, and I raise pigs, right, breed
Yeah.
them or whatever, and eat for the purpose of me eating them. But
Well,
I don't treat them particularly cruelly.
I
just
don't
kill
think
them
you
when
can
I need
kill it.
food.
I have an issue with that because, for one thing, I don't think there's a nice way to kill an animal. How can you kill an animal?
Can I
And
interject? Can I
sorry,
interject?
there's no right way to do the wrong thing. Like, murder is wrong, so there's no right way to do it. There's no nice way to take someone's life.
Killing an animal isn't murder.
It is murder. It's taking life.
No. Genuinely, hang on. Let me interject here. So,
Regardless of
what
your
you're-
definition, it's taking someone else's life without.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, but
it doesn't matter if you agree if it's murder or not. The point is that you take their life.
guys,
What if you don't have to take their life? Like the lab grown meat.
guys, please, let me try and clear this up. So Tasha's saying the act that makes it cruel isn't like how you treat them throughout your life. That's what Frank's saying. He's saying you can treat them very well, maybe even good, but you still kill them for your food. Tasha's argument is in today's society, there is no way anyone can really be alive without the necessity of needing to kill that meat right there and there, or there and then.
You personally don't have to.
Yeah, it's the unnecessary. It's the what's the word? It's the fact that it's unnecessary that makes it cruel. She's saying, but there's another thing here, and you said that it's murder, Tasha. I have to side with Frank here on this one because genuinely the definition of murder is the unlawful act of killing another human being. So they're not human beings.
Well, I would consider taking an animal's life murder, but like, the definition doesn't
Okay.
necessarily matter, because my point is that you're killing someone. So I don't know how you can. What else would you call it then?
Murder, you can call it killing.
So
It's killing,
killing an
yeah.
animal, I would just define it as murder regardless, but it doesn't matter what my definition is for it, because
Yeah,
it's the same
again,
thing regardless.
I wouldn't.
How is it so extreme? Because they're going through that. How is that not a justifiable word to use? They're still being killed. If a human, they're still experiencing the same thing. Just because an animal or
murder
human
is a legal term, Tasha. Murder is a legal term, and it's for
That's
human
not
beings.
Yeah,
that's not the
exactly.
point
No one's
I'm
going to
making.
court for killing an animal. Like,
Liam, that's
No,
not the
people
point
do.
I'm making.
Yeah, you can.
I'm not doing
Yeah,
the
rarely.
Animal
definition.
cruelty.
well, most people don't see animals as being abused anyway, so of course they're not going to call it murder. Like, because then you'd feel bad. You wouldn't be able to sleep at night if you thought you were murdering animals. I'm pretty sure. So of course you're going to say it's not murder. Like.
But legally, as a definition, it's not murder right now. As it stands, it's not murder right now.
Well,
But I see
would
what you're
call it
saying.
murder.
You're saying you disagree with the definition. I get you.
Okay, but
So what would you define as murder then? Just killing?
I think taking someone's life is murder.
Yes, but you say someone, so do you consider a cow a someone?
Yeah, a living thing, a being that feels pain, is suffering. If they can suffer.
The part I worry about is
if I cut a human's throat and I cut an animal's throat, they feel the exact pain. They die the same way. It's exactly the same. So how is the definition different in any way? Can you explain to me, or do you have to depend on Google, or what?
well, if you want Google,
I was
never.
Just because it's a different species.
Can I say just for a second, I was never using the definition of murder as my argument. I don't do that.
Okay, well, I don't think we should get caught up on definitions anyway, because obviously we don't
that's what I was.
I 100% support that, Natasha.
Yeah, thank you.
Liam.
Like Liam gave his definition thing that he does quite regularly anyway. What I was trying to say is I don't think it's murder because of
okay,
the
well,
ethics,
I don't want to get caught up on it because I disagree, but we can move on.
Well, guys, can we get back to the bit about the lab-grown meat?
Do you have one?
It's like
I feel like Frank really wanted to say something there at the end.
I think about the farm was interesting. About you were saying if you have your own animals, I think that's an interesting question, that if you have your own animals and you raise them and take care of them, is it still what was your question?
Yeah, I mean it's that move, that switch to I agree that animal cruelty and things like having like Giovanni said, or maybe it was Liam, foie gras or whatever, where the duck or goose is force fed or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Bad. Right?
So you see that as unnecessary cruelty,
unnecessary cruelty. Yeah, I do.
Well, I see killing them as unnecessary cruelty as well, because you don't need to kill them, so it's the same thing.
Even Joe was commenting there. I feel like taking a life without cause is murder. Like if you kill an animal and then don't eat it.
That's what I was trying to get in, to see that you kill an animal and then don't eat it. I disagree with that. Like it's the hunting thing. So if you go out to hunt and you shoot a deer, and then
you're killing it for no reason. Why would you kill a deer when you can eat it?
No, but people do that, and I disagree with that.
I think that's wrong.
I think that's bad. But if you eat the deer, I don't think that it's bad.
But I don't see how, because if you kill a deer, you're going out and killing a baby's mother, and then it's like Bambi all over, and then you're like, you can go to the shop and get a vegan burger, or you can eat vegetables. Why the hell would you go and shoot an animal in the heart? I just don't understand it. You don't need to do it.
Frank, I just want to make the argument as well, real quick, just because I have this moral superiority right now. But it's you can't use that argument either, because you can treat a human nicely all their life and then you can murder them, and as long as you eat their body, it's fine,
Oh, God.
Yeah, just because you have a use for their body doesn't mean it's okay.
That was one of the things we're discussing before the podcast. It's why don't we just, instead of we should just end plant harming and just all eat humans? Be
plant farming.
Yeah, the harming of plants.
I don't think plants feel pain. Last time I checked.
Well, as you said, they do grow away from heat if you put them near a candle or something earlier, right? What were you saying about that?
But that's not. That was just funny because I was just joking about that because I was basically saying that a lot of people argue the point, which is completely ridiculous, and like I find it so funny that they say, that like plants feel pain and their argument is that because if you hold like a lighter up to it, like it will have a reaction to the stimulus basically. So a lot of people before would be like arguing that they feel pain, but that's ridiculous because you can't actually experience pain unless you have a central nervous system and a brain. Like, so plants don't feel pain. The same way, like I'm sure if you were driving down a road and there was a dog on the road runs out, and there's a rose bed by the side, would you drive onto the rose bed and kill the roses, or would you kill the dog? Because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't really mind driving over a few roses. I wouldn't think they'd start screaming. Like,
you don't even need to use a dog in that example. You could just use a human. Like, would you go through the roses or mow down a human?
Yeah, exactly. But like,
there's more
it's ridiculous
to humans.
say that like, ridiculous to say plants have feelings, like, and like compare that to an animal who like screams for its life, like, and bleeds like us.
There is a big, huge question here I got in like the actual Discord server. I just wanted to like address it real quick. So this is from the Emerald Islander himself. Only OGs know. But he said, here's a question, and I don't know what this is, but I just want to read it. He said, here's a question, considering we are animals technically, only hyper-intelligent compared to others. If we weren't to exist, wouldn't the natural process be for the next animal on top of the food chain take our places as the number one predator? If we hadn't grown smarter, we would still be very low in the food chain. So if they wouldn't change for us, wouldn't it be unnatural for us to change for them? And then he said, basically, if we weren't the top predators, we wouldn't get the same mercy from another animal if there was another top predator.
I wouldn't necessarily call top predators people who go to the shop every day, who lie in their bed on their computers, like top predators. Yeah. Like, I haven't seen any human kill an animal with their bare teeth and claws that they don't have.
Like,
we're not
actually fighting an elephant for its tusks. Like, I need that fucking piano.
Humans didn't
like,
evolve.
I've yet to see a human kill an animal with
yeah, but Natasha,
anything they have, which animals do in the wild all the time.
Humans didn't evolve to get claws or teeth. Humans evolved to use tools.
Humans have never had an instinct to kill. Like, if you put a baby in a cot,
no.
If you put a baby in a cot with a carrot and a rabbit, do you think you'd leave and come back? And do you think the rabbit would be eaten? Like, because humans don't have an instinct to kill.
No, but we do though. When we're
kittens do.
When we're defensive, we do. If someone came into your house and killed your family, you would instantly jump on them.
That's completely different. Cats don't only eat animals that are attacking their young. They kill animals because they have an instinct to. That's protection, Liam. That's like in the wild, if you're getting attacked or something, like, you're going to defend yourself. That's self-defense. That's not instinct.
Tasha, that's prevalent in humans too, though. There's so many cases. Like, just look no further than Count Dankula's Mad Lads. I think it was someone named Gary. I can't remember what his surname is. Maybe you can grab it, you. I don't know. It's that one where basically a pedophile ran away with his kid, and then the man went on basically when his brain brought in, kind of like a. What's his name? The guy who, it doesn't really matter, but he basically went and shot. He basically shot the man. That's defensive. That's attacking against people who you're young.
That's not an instinct. He didn't like bite him like rip him to shreds.
Natasha.
Humans just address this very quickly. Humans do have an instinct to kill and eat. The same as every
also,
animal.
Can I just say one more point as well? Like I said earlier, if you see roadkill or if you went into a slaughterhouse, I don't think that makes anyone hungry. And also, animals in the wild who eat other animals eat every single part of them. They eat fur, they eat fat, they eat eyeballs, they eat asshole, they eat every single part of the animal. And I don't see humans eating every part. They are disgusted by dead animals. They can't look at them.
That's because we don't have to, because of the abundance
like,
of
if you saw a dead animal on the road that was all bloody, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't make you hungry. Yeah. Like, you look away, everyone looks away. No one has an instinct to kill. You feel like compassionate towards animals. Like,
hang on. You gotta calm down. It's like you gotta hit the brakes. You make too many points quickly that we need to like address. Like, we still haven't moved past this. Animals have instinct to kill.
Like, it's just frustrating.
We all disagree with this.
Guys, I want to say something here first, but Natasha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, humans haven't evolved to grow claws or like big teeth. Humans
We
evolved.
won't ever evolve.
Okay, yeah, but humans evolved differently. They evolved to
Did we ever
use
have claws?
tools. No, we evolved to use
No,
tools
so we
rather
never had an
instead.
instinct to kill.
Look at otters.
That was
Otters.
survival. The only
Otters
time we
use tools.
the times we used tools was a survival situation. We had crops. We ate like berries and fruits ever before we started killing animals. That was survival. I'm pretty sure people back then didn't really want to kill animals. They
That's-
done it to
People-
survive.
Yeah, but
the same way
Natasha-
you don't want to kill animals now.
But Natasha,
Sorry,
that's how
sorry.
humans evolved. We evolved differently from like a tiger, which evolved to be like
But you're
using
not
its
hungry
own
by
body to
blood.
attack. Humans evolved to use tools.
But blood doesn't make you hungry, so how can you have an instinct to kill if blood makes you repulsed?
Humans
Can
learned
I
to cook.
address something here? Just like, right. If
You wouldn't be repulsed by it though.
If
You'd be
I was
hungry.
driving along in my car and I saw a dead deer on the side of the road and I was eating my Twix, I'd be like, that's terrible. That poor deer. If I crawled
Yeah.
out of the bushes and I hadn't eaten in 4 days, I would start
Yeah,
eating the deer.
but you're
off
not
the
in that
road.
situation now.
No, I'm
I
not.
might
I'm
think
not.
that too.
I'm not
People
in
have
that.
eaten humans in the past to survive.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
But
what I mean.
you're saying
need
that
to-
That doesn't mean it's an
Liam, be quiet.
instinct. I don't have an instinct to eat humans just because in survival situation
No,
when I'm starving,
have-
I might
you
eat a
have
There's a
human.
point you're not addressing here, guys. Hang on. So you give the example of a cat, right? Defending its young from predators. That is a specific example. A cat isn't always in attack
No, I
mode.
was
to kill
arguing
something.
against your point
Hang
because
on.
you said that, sorry. You
So-
I didn't say that as a point. I was arguing against it. What you said was that if an animal came into the house basically and started attacking someone, then you would kill it, like, or whatever it was.
No. You said that a cat is a carnivore, has an instinct to kill.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
Correct.
But that example, a cat doesn't always have the instinct to kill. Otherwise, the
It does,
cat.
Liam. If you
Otherwise-
pull a string along a cat's eyes, it looks at it straight away and it tries to attack it. I don't see
Yes.
any babies doing that.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That is a specific example. When you put
That's
a
an
string.
instinct. That's instinct.
If a cat had an instinct to kill, it would jump on every dog it's seen for its instincts would be too strong. Now, hang on.
It jumps on every bird. They don't eat dogs, they eat birds. It kills every bird that it can catch.
But the same is true for humans. That's a specific example of a cat when its
Well,
instincts
and
kick
tell
in.
me any animal that you would see dead that would make you hungry.
As
a
Frank
slaughtered
gave his
animal.
example of a specific example where a human's instincts would kick in an example, a deer would look delicious when you're
No,
starving.
he
for
didn't say that. He
6
said he
days.
would be like, ooh.
No, he said he was eating
Huh?
a Twix. He'd go ooh.
Yeah, if he was eating a Trix driving by and seeing the dead deer, he'd be like,
I don't
ew.
get what the Twix
What
has
if he
to
was-
do with it. I'm pretty sure if he said
It's
he'd
just
feel
an
bad
example.
for the deer. He said he'd feel bad for the deer and he'd be like, ooh. I don't know why
Yeah.
the Twix is part of this.
Because
scenario.
it's a different example. It's a different situation.
Well, I don't see how if he was already eating and he saw something that he would eat too. Well, would he not be even more hungry and be like, "Oh, yup, I get more food," rather than look away?
Because
If it's food that you like eating,
No,
if I'm
you're
if I
wrong.
am cooking,
You're wrong.
if I'm
I
cooking
have to
dinner
cut you
for
off. You're wrong.
sorry, if
You're
I'm
wrong
cooking
because
if I'm cooking dinner for myself, and then someone
Right.
comes in and they bring in a plate of something else, like like this, I don't know, like some chocolate bar or
It's not
something
true.
after I eat my dinner, I'll be like, "Oh, yup, I have there's a chocolate bar for dessert." I'm not like, "Oh,
Not true.
gross." I'm
Not
not like
true.
repulsed. I've
not
never
true.
been
In
repulsed.
different Tasha, that's not true. Let me cut you off. You're wrong because if let's say in another specific example, when Frank would be driving by in his lorry eating his Twix, he'd be looking at his Twix going, "Yum, this is delicious." In
Yeah, 'cause
another
it's-
example where he's eating far too many chocolate bars, he would look at another Twix bar and go, "Oh, I would be sick if I ate
No.
another one of those." So it depends
no
on
one-
the situation
no.
you're
Okay,
in.
so
Frank-
if you were driving past, and
Frank
you
was
weren't
saying
necessarily
if
hungry-
you hadn't eaten a month and you saw dead deer there, you'd be like, food.
I'm not talking about that though. Like that's
That was
also,
his
like,
example.
You're starving. If you're starving, you go to the shop and get something. Why
What
the hell
if-
would you eat a deer on the side
What
of
if
the road?
what if you've been like in a plane crash,
Seems
you
a
haven't
bit
eaten in a month, that deer would look pretty.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, people have eaten humans. I said that before. Like
But I'm
that's
not on about
survival. That's not my
humans.
argument. My argument is when you go to the shop to buy food, choose vegan. It's not that hard. You don't have to be like driving along the road and like swerving around all
Tasha,
these deers.
the thing we disagree with you here is that humans have an instinct to kill. We're saying it does, and you disagree.
You said that you'd be repulsed by a deer. You said that you don't like the look of roadkill. You don't like the you don't like the look of blood.
Only in certain examples.
Have you ever
Only
eaten?
in certain examples.
Have you ever eaten an animal raw, a dead animal, like not cooked or anything, just the whole animal? Have you ever eaten it?
We don't have to do that. That's why we don't do it.
No, why not?
Because we have an option not to.
But people have chickens in their back gardens. I'm sure they would just eat the whole chicken. Why wouldn't they do that? We don't have an instinct to kill them.
Can I just say something here?
Yeah.
No. I mean,
this argument is
well, I'm yet to hear of like someone who's eaten a raw chicken whole with their eyes, everything, their feathers. Like, I don't think humans have an instinct to kill. It's pretty obvious.
Right. That's the reason you've never experienced anyone having an instinct to kill is because we live in a society here in Ireland. We are lucky enough to not be
even in any other like place where.
All right.
Even in many other places, they don't usually eat that raw.
That's your inexperience. There's places.
I've never heard of humans don't eat a whole animal raw.
That's not true.
They don't just eat a chicken full.
They don't. In the world, there's places
where they eat mussels. Eat mussels and full.
Do they eat? Have you heard of any human eating an animal whole without?
No, but there's a reason because of that I can explain.
Okay.
I've never heard of it. That surprises me if you think that we have an instinct.
You don't think.
Frank is trying to show you the other perspective.
Okay, Liam. You don't think, Natasha, that there's places in the world where people go out and hunt and they catch, say, a deer and they bring it back
I didn't say that.
Their crew. No, but just let me finish. Bring it back to their crew of people that they live with, their tribe, if you want. And they cut that whole thing up and use every part of that deer.
I didn't say that. That was my argument. I said I've yet to hear of humans ever eaten an animal whole.
But that's in your experience because none of us have ever.
No, I've never heard because
well,
humans
Natasha, would you go out and eat an entire field of carrots? Would you, if you seen an entire field of carrots, would you go and eat them all?
I'd be hungry. I'd be like, yup. I'd be hungry. Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I'd love to try one of the carrots.
No, all of the carrots there.
I've never been disgusted by
every single carrot there.
What do you mean? I don't
You're
get
saying
your
like
point.
no one would go eat an entire chicken. No one would go eat an entire field of carrots.
Okay, then you would never take a bite out of a chicken.
You would if you were hungry enough.
No. I mean, in any situation, doesn't matter if you're hungry enough. I would eat a carrot whether I was not hungry enough. It's not about being starving until I eat a carrot. I would just eat it anyway because it's food. I just mean if right now there's a chicken.
You wouldn't though because
if there's a chicken in front of you right now and you're kind of feeling peckish, would you go and take a bite out of the chicken? I doubt that.
No.
Why not? If it's food to you, then
because it's not the right circumstance to eat. The same way you would eat a carrot that was only a seed. The same way you would eat a carrot that's only a seed.
I feel like we should move on. This is just like
I want to move on to something here.
You don't see eye to eye.
Something Joe's seen and put in the comments, and this kind of puts it exactly the way that it is for us. If you think of bears, they will always attack in the wild for food, but in the enclosures where they are fed by humans, you can go in and hug a bear because they know that they get their food. They have no reason to kill you. But if you're hungry and you know that you need to kill that thing to eat or for your family to eat, you would do it without hesitation. Just because you're in a situation where you don't have to kill something doesn't mean you don't have that instinct to kill.
I don't get the point because my point is it's not food and humans would eat it regardless of whether they were starving or not.
It is
you don't have
food.
to be starving to eat food though.
No,
but food.
Well, if you see that as food, if you see a chicken as food, all I'm saying is if you see that animal as food, then how come you can't just kill it and take a bite out of it or something?
Because it's not in the right circumstance. If you see a carrot as food, then why can't you eat carrot?
I don't want to argue about this anymore because we're just repeating ourselves anyway. It's just
guys, I honestly think this is a good place to wrap it up. I think we can all agree on that. Right, well...
Yeah, it's kind of a bad ending though, to be
Would
honest.
everyone like to say their goodbyes?
Well, I just want to say thanks for having the conversation too, because it's actually interesting, like, to hear what you thought too, and like, I could definitely go on and talk more about it. And like, I don't know, I feel like, I would talk about it again just because I feel like I didn't get to say a lot of stuff about like diet and about like the animal cruelty and stuff like that. But like, I mean,
Really?
yeah. But I was really interested. And I was like really glad to hear about. I know it's nice to hear other perspectives and stuff too, and like I hope you have some food for thought anyway.
Well, it was great having you on, Natasha. Thanks for hopping along.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. It was really cool.
Well, I'm going to mute you now and do the outro. Sorry there, but right, thank you for everyone hopping along today. This was kind of a mad one. My tortoise joke got kind of abused there, not gonna lie. And well, thank you everyone for joining. Once again, our sponsor link in the description, kingman.net. You can get games, pre-orders, software, Windows 10 keys, all at discounted prices. You'd be supporting us and helping us create a bigger channel, creating better content. Another thing as well, all our social medias are in the description. Please check them out. We do different stuff on there, pretty interesting. You should check that out. And yeah, I think that's it, guys. Studio coming soon. Pretty much everything ordered. We got our microphones, camera set up, all ready. Well, you know, ready-ish. But anyway, guys, thanks for hopping along. See you all next time. Good luck and goodbye. I suppose a lot of people possibly.